We're here with you talking the Gridiron divisional round recap or live looking as we kind of look at the Bills, Ravens. Jimmy, I got Nico here far into the bench here together for the first time in a while on talking the Gridiron. Jimmy, what just happened as we got on the air here?
There was an incredible play. Bernard strips, punches the ball out of Mark Andrews, and then also recovers his own fumble. The Bills have the ball. The Bills might do this thing. That was not looking good.
Don't put that bad juju on Buffalo, Jimmy. Don't put that bad juju on Buffalo.
Hey, for whatever reason, Baltimore stopped running the ball with Derrick Henry, and that was the one thing they couldn't stop. So hopefully they forget that again in the next drive. I really don't want to see. I don't want to see my division rival in the championship game. I don't want to see it.
Oh man, and the one thing too at the I keep thinking about, it's hard not to look ahead as we'll kind of get into KC too. It's like, who do we want Allen to take? Does Allen give him the best chance to knock out KC, or does Lamar? We got a Broncos and a Raiders guy here, so we're thinking selfishly at the same time, along with probably 48 other states here in America, and what we're trying to do here. And then we got the rest we got to work about. No, I'm KC fans. I know. Tune in. You can comment here if you want to rip on us for it, but. We're gonna give you. We're gonna.
What are they gonna rip on? What are they gonna say about that?
Oh, you know how they are. Just beat us. Just beat us. That's what you gotta get. That's what it is. It's what
the really hard to do. So it's really hard to do so in that situation. But okay.
And we got Patrick Mahomes going. What did we say? Chris Paul there yesterday. Little Nico, little basketball reference.
Don't say that name when I'm on the show. Do not say that name. Don't say that name.
So we got 24-19 here. With Bills Ravens, we got like 8:41 left in the game. Bills got the ball on first down on the turnover. I'll get it up here on the screen here in just a minute while we're up with it. But guys, good to see you here. Divisional round. I asked the guys on Fat Boy Fadeaway this morning, is this the best maybe weekend in sports in some regards? Because you have the four. Usually you're kind of. Tyler said March Madness maybe. There's the October where you got baseball, NBA, kind of all going at the same time. I personally don't know if this is the best one, but it's hard because you usually have you're down to like the best 8 teams usually, and you get the double headers each day. So so far we've been pretty good with the games that the Rams Eagles delivered as well. Lions Commanders, kind of an odd game we'll get into as well. And then we have one. Let's start with this one right now. Where do you guys see this one playing out? It's the Bills just got the turnover. I'll get it up on the screen here in a second, but I mean, is anybody? I don't know what to make of this. This is kind of like this is the game I've been waiting for all year in a way. Outside them to play KC, I don't know. What do you make of it, Jimmy?
I right now think that these are two of the best players that we've seen, and it's not the teams. I think I saw it earlier on social media. Like the NFC is teams that are building up and allowing players to do what they're doing. These are players that are making their team play better. And today what we're seeing is the team that makes the turnover mistakes, because Lamar has a turnover. Andrews just has that turnover. That's 3 turnovers in favor of the Buffalo Bills. And when you have 3 turnovers plus 3 in the turnover margin, you're normally going to win, especially in a game of this magnitude. You have no room for error. And the Ravens, unfortunately, made 3 giant errors. And I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, they have to get one back. You have to get at least one back. If you get one back, you do have a chance. But if you don't, I don't know how they're going to be able to overcome this, because Buffalo, as of right now, they're just going to hold on to the ball, and you're either going to give the ball back with less than 4 minutes to go against this defense, or they're going to get into field goal range, which they have just a few more yards to go. They got a first down. So I think that's what it's going to come down to, is the team that played a better game, that wasn't as sloppy with the football in the weather, is going to win, and that's how it should be.
We'll see if Buffalo has a chance here to put it away, probably with a touchdown, you would think. So obviously still a lot of time to go. Field goal keeps it 1-score game. Nico, they had that 2-point conversion. That was a big knockdown there that would have tied the game, or tied it up at the moment, 21. Like Jimmy said, the turnovers were a big play. That was a great strip right there of Andrews, by that guy coming across there, knocking it out. What do you kind of, the Bills kind of felt like put their will the first half, and then the Ravens kind of go old school there second half, and they just kind of outrun them for a little bit there. And then obviously the big play to Andrews there that results in the fumble. What's kind of been your takeaway from Jackson, the Ravens so far in this game, as they're down 5 right now?
Well, Baltimore is a team that it's so run heavy and run dependent. Like obviously, like I talked about this in our show this past week. Like Derrick Henry's the top 5, top 10 running back of all time with how good he's been the last 10 years. And you have Lamar Jackson, which is I'll say it, the greatest running quarterback of all time. Like I think he surpassed Vic at this point thus far too. Like what he's been able to do with the football in his hands. He like I said, he's not listed as a quarterback. If you play college football, NCAA football game, you'll see he's listed as ATH, athlete. You get him in space, he will do whatever he wants to do to get the first down ball. But when you play that style of a game, playing from behind is very difficult. Very, very, very difficult. Because when you play from behind, especially a team against Buffalo that won't make mistakes, if you make mistakes, it hurts you because you're as good of a running game as goes. Time is not on your side. When your time is not your side, especially when you have to go up and down the field passing wise. Like Lamar's been much more accurate this year than he has in years past. I will give him that. Obviously, he's not going to kill you with his arm like Josh Allen will or Patrick Mahomes will. So like when you're playing a comeback or come from behind role and you have that type of offense, it does make it very, very difficult. But I will say this Ravens defense has held Buffalo very, very in check the second half, which has helped them keep in this game. Obviously, a 2-point conversion from tying it in the second half, but if they can hold them to 3 here, this game is still very open. 4 minutes is a lot of time. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. And all you need is one drive and 2-point conversion. And like I said, I think I saw the statistic where it was like 2-point conversion is about 50-50 odds. It's like 50% you get it, 50% you don't get it. Well, they didn't get the last one. What did the odds say that you're going to get the next one? I know that that's not how things usually go, but the odds say it's about 50-50 shot that you get it. So hold them to 3 here. This game is very, very far from over.
Buffalo's making that not as true. The Buffalo's on a drive right now, and they just injured. I'm pretty sure Marlon Humphrey just got his ribs broken by one of those receivers. He got absolutely driven into the ground. I agree. Like they don't have the ability. They're like a service academy. When you get up 7 on a service academy, that's ball game. Because whatever you do, as long as you just stay a little bit ahead, they don't have the explosivity to go all the way down the field. And I think right now, even if Buffalo doesn't convert, yes, you have to deal with the issue of momentum. I think that momentum's on their side. Even if they don't convert, they're going to have them far enough back that the Ravens are just not going to be able to get all the way down the field. It's all.
And up until that Mark Andrews turnover, the Ravens defense held the Bills in check offensively very, very well in the second half. That's what you have to do when you have this run heavy of a game is you can take more time with an offense when you force 3 and outs, when you force Josh Allen to get uncomfortable and get sacks. They were doing that until obviously when turnovers come into play, which I'm sure we'll talk a lot about some of these other games in regards to turnovers. But when turnovers come into play, it's very, very difficult to overcome that, especially on the road, especially in these conditions.
Who needs this game more? I know that's a weird question, right? Because both family, but you're just kind of sitting there if you're just picking.
It was both head coaches' jobs on the line. I don't know if you can say jobs on the line. I guess it is a divisional round of the playoffs, but both of these coaches have such a stigma around them right now. Harbaugh hasn't done it since 2012. McDermott's never done it. I feel like this was a very important game for the future of the coaching staff on both sides. I think that Baltimore, you're gonna have to figure something out. You have committed to Lamar Jackson, and guess what happens when you commit money to the quarterback? The coach is expendable. And Buffalo, Sean McDermott, great turnaround, but can we get somebody that can maybe push us to that next level? Because obviously flaming out in the divisional round, or that one AFC championship that you got to, that's not sustainable. You at least have to go to the Super Bowl and lose 4 in a row to be sustainable for the Bills.
Yeah, it's an interesting we were talking about the NFC. The AFC just feels like a powerhouse with these 3 teams. It almost reminds me of the old tennis when you had Murray and Nadal, and they were always going to be there. Federer, and they were just always going to be there. And that's kind of the vibe these guys have been giving me over the last few years. You're going to have these 3 teams always there. It feels like you have these quarterbacks in the AFC. Now they still have to get by the biggest mountain, which is KC next week, to surpass that. But it does feel like that's kind of where these 2 teams are. There's a level, and then there's the next level. So to me, I find that interesting with McDermott and Harbaugh. Let's say McDermott does get by today, but he loses next week. That's still, to your point, maybe that's still not enough for Buffalo fans or the organization to want to hold on to him. I still think the job is safe, but maybe not.
It's also looking at that situation that you can't get over. And Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid aren't going anywhere. Travis Kelce might not be there for as long. And I will give him credit because I definitely heard the noise about his regular season, but he was a totally different player yesterday. So that entire situation in Kansas City is not going anywhere anytime soon. So you can't get over it. If you can't beat it, you're going to have to figure out some way or somebody or some personnel switch, or maybe it's coaching that will get you over it. But it's strange how it's like voodoo. That's all it is.
They're carrying off Bernard, who makes the like they won the championship.
They're driving the shit out of the football right now. They're running the ball. They are giving Baltimore everything that they want on this drive.
I got it 2nd and goal, looking like right now on the 7, a chance to put it away, Buffalo. Maybe not put it away. Maybe you're like the Eagles and you want to let them hang around a little bit, but they got a chance here to kind of keep them right there at the to kind of make their mark. This, to me, it's more. I've always felt like this was for me, it felt like a bigger game for Buffalo. It just felt like that way. It just felt like they at home. And Allen, they lost that close game a few years ago. They lost last year in the playoffs. It just felt like a bigger game to me to Buffalo. That kick that guy just made, Bass, earlier too, was a huge kick from 51 yards away as well to give him a little room there. So we'll kind of keep you updated on this game as we keep moving here. I got it 3rd and goal on
Allen's
the 2-yard line right now.
Allen just took a quarterback sweep to the 2. So,
well, what do you think the play is going to be here? Can I guess? Allen run. No. Just give it to him again up the middle.
Allen throws it to the corner of the end zone. The guy tackles the receiver before the goal line. Allen runs out there, says, "Pitch me the ball, motherfucker. I'll score." And then that's what happens.
I mean, is anybody more unstoppable at the quarterback position outside of Jalen Hurts from 2 yards out? I mean, just seriously, just give him the ball and run it up the middle. That's what I would do right here on this next play right here. Anybody feel anything differently? Just give it to the horse, man. Give it to him.
It makes no sense. Like unless you're doing an option play with James Cook and have like the 2 options where James Cook up the middle, Josh Allen on the outside. I do think that, especially when you're from 2 yards out, with 1 yard out, it should just be a QB sneak. But like 2 yards out, like I think having that dynamic, because James Cook is a very strong downhill runner as well. That like if you do that option play where Josh Allen can read the defensive end and see which option is best for him, I think that's a look here.
Here we go.
Yep.
Pistol formation. Allen fakes up the middle, and he gets stoofed.
Nothing. So you got to kick the field goal, right? Or do you go Dan Campbell and Dan Quinn, and you just go for it on 4th down and put the game away? You got to take the field goal, right?
I would take the field goal. In these conditions, I think you need to, because what 8 point, like you said, it's not just a touchdown. Your defense has been very, very good thus far today. Not fantastic. It's making turnovers, but you have to think that your defense can hold them to not only a touchdown, but not getting a 2-point conversion. I don't like it, because the gamble here is like you could easily lose this game. You don't get this. You kick the field goal. The worst thing that happens is the game's tied, and you have a chance to win it with a game-winning field goal. Or C, Baltimore scores with 0 seconds on the clock and go to overtime, and they still have to get a 2-point conversion. Like 7 points is way different, but when you can go up by 8, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
And Baltimore used 2 timeouts on that drive. Just they only have 1 left, so there is that against them as well.
And Lamar Jackson's going to have to throw the football.
Well, he is going to have to throw it.
You're not going to be able to rely on Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson running the football down the field. You are going to have to throw the football, and you might have to hit a receiver. Might not be able to just throw it to Andrews and Likely.
What do you got? 3:31 left here in the 4th quarter. Looks like they're getting ready to set up for a field goal. Yeah, Buffalo took the timeout. We got an 8-point game right now in Buffalo. If you're joining us here on Variety Sports Network, Talking the Gridiron, I got the guys here, Nico and Jimmy, far under the bench. Like I said, get in the comments there. We'll hit on this game all as we kind of continue to go here, as this game gets closer, as we hit with it. What's kind of been your before we move to the NFC, just my final question on this one as we kind of start that last drive is, what do you expect from the Ravens on this drive? Do you expect what do you expect from the defense from the Bills? Should they sit back and play it safe? Or are we bringing, what are we doing here? And this is where don't prevent yourself from losing, right? That kind of feel. But if you overrush Lamar, that's where you get in trouble. What do you kind of expect from Buffalo's defense here in this final drive, Nico?
Well, there has to be one Milano or one guy in the field on a QB spy the whole time, because when like I said, the thing you want from Lamar Jackson, I think I say it differently. I'd say it differently from Josh Allen, is like you have to get Lamar out of the pocket and out of his comfort zone, because when you get him out of the pocket and you have a spy on him, he's not a great on the throw runner. He wants to plant his feet and get the ball downfield. If you can get him out of the pocket, but have a spy where he can't run for a first down, he can't pick up the first down with his legs, that helps his team a lot. It helps his defense a lot. So I would keep one spy on him. And like I said, this in the snow, you kind of like zone coverage. I hate zone coverage because it can be so tough on a defense who's going to be where. But when you're in the snow and these corners could have a bad misstep here, one bad misstep in the snow, the receiver's gone. Yeah. And you see the speed that Zay Flowers has, have to see the speed that Rashad Bateman has. Lamar Jackson may not be the most accurate thrower, but he can bomb the ball down the field still. And one misstep by a corner, and he's gone. So I would play zone coverage, try to keep everything in front of you, play smart football, and have a spy on Lamar.
They got plenty of time, though. They got 3:30. That's a ton in the NFL. They got
it's not a ton of time for 2 scores, though. That is not a ton of time for 2 scores.
No, you're right. They have to get the 2-point conversion at the same time. You're right. They're going to have to get that at the same time they score here to make it happen.
Well, I mean, what are you going to – I wouldn't change much. That's like the whole philosophical question. Do you play to win or do you play not to lose? Prevent defense is playing not to lose, where you say that you gave yourself the best chance. Just play the Vic Fangio defense. Play a too high shell. Force them to run the football. If they truly want to run the football, that is the defense to do it against. 2 safeties as far back as you can. Everybody else is keeping everybody in front of them. You can play man with the spy. You can play zone underneath with the spy underneath those 2 high safeties. Just make sure nobody gets behind you, and we'll be fine. Make sure you make a tackle in front of you, and they're going to have to work themselves. And, yeah, they got the two-minute warning. But once the 2-minute warning's gone, I feel like this team is – I have not seen Lamar Jackson run a lot of clean 2-minute drills.
They don't need to all-out blitz and just make Lamar Jackson throw on his back hip. Like, you have 2 very, very solid pass rushers, and Von Miller, obviously, and Gregory Rousseau that can get to the quarterback very easy one-on-one. Like, that's you don't have to really worry about sending the house. Maybe you send the house one time on 3rd down to get them on their heels, but, like, you don't have to just feel like you have to send the house and try to get Lamar to throw off his back foot. Like, you don't have to do that with how well this defense is set up.
This is why you brought in Von Miller. This is why you have Ed Oliver still there. This is why you have that defensive line. You create pressure with your D-line. That way you can play your safeties back and keep everybody else in coverage. Don't give up the kick return touchdown.
Now, would the Denver Von Miller have scored on that fumble recovery? That is,
yes.
Anyway, with the Denver Von Miller, I was like, is that the same Von? He's running a little like, I felt like it was a little, as you say,
unhitch the wagon.
Get that wagon off. Get the fridge off the back there.
We don't need the trailer. We just need the truck.
I mean, Jimmy, to your point, I think like the same thing happened with the Commanders Lions game. If you lose the turnover battle that bad, I mean, you're putting yourself in a position to not have success, obviously, in an NFL game. I expect this drive to get within the 25-yard line on the Buffalo. I expect that.
There's a holding call on the kick return, so they're going to start even further back.
I still just think the Ravens are going to make it enough interesting. With you said the Bills kind of playing a zone. I kind of see that too. The same thing here. So I expect this to come down to the last, I'd say 30 yards of field here.
You don't want to play prevent, but also like when no one has any good footing out there, as much as you want to put hard screws in your cleats, like it's very, very difficult to plant still. And look how difficult it was for Mark Andrews to hold onto the ball. You just need to play good sound defense and do your job, as the Patriot way would say, do your job and have the guys behind you to back you up.
That first play, they brought 6. They brought the house on the first play of the defensive series.
Incomplete pass over to Likely there on the play. Johnson injured on the play. Is there? I don't have the game on. The Bills have to take a timeout as a result of the injury there, or they just?
It's not under 2 minutes, so no, it's 3 minutes. So it was just an injury timeout where it's not taken away. So they still have 2 timeouts.
What team do you think gives KC the best battle?
I mean, I'll stick with Buffalo. Like, I think Buffalo's defense is much better than Baltimore is right now. I think their defense in terms of the way they rush the passer, how good they're inside the tackles. Like, I think that can play to Buffalo's strength there. And I think that, frankly, like we say this every year when you play Kansas City in the playoffs, like you're gonna have to win a shootout. Yeah. I'm frank. Right now, as good as Lamar Jackson is, the shootout is going to be throwing the ball down the field, and it's Josh Allen. Like Josh Allen has the running level of Lamar Jackson, the throwing level of John Elway. Like this guy can sling the ball so damn far down the field and play with like a Patrick Mahomes style type team against the other side of football. So I would say Buffalo. I don't know. If Baltimore can get up to a lead and run the damn ball, I obviously have a lot of faith in Baltimore too. I think both these teams have a very, very good shot next week. It's just, I don't know. I just have more faith in Buffalo's defense and more faith in the way their offense works, so they won't have to turn the ball over that much. And frankly, KC may need turnovers to beat Buffalo.
Yeah, I feel like it's a tough one for me because you're right. You think Henry, you think Jackson for Baltimore, you think that the offensive line. But I think Allen is that. I don't know. He's just a little. I don't know. I don't really have a great reason for it. Like Jackson's a great athlete. I just think Allen. I just think he gives the KC a little bit more trouble than Jackson does on a basis. So I would kind of favor Buffalo, not to necessarily beat KC, but to give them a better game next week if we get there with it. So what we got 3rd and 2 here. It looks like for Baltimore here, Von Miller on the stop there. So down to 2 plays here for Baltimore. We'll see where that lies as we kind of chug along here with the game. Jackson, you've been disappointed in Allen at all today, or you thought he's been efficient? I thought I don't know, like no touchdown passes. Obviously the 2 rushing touchdowns. He gets stopped on the goal line on that last play. I feel like Buffalo's been a little conservative. Is that okay to say that in some ways? I felt like the second half they came out a little conservative. That was the vibe I got watching them a little bit.
They've been getting in trouble when they've tried to go out and just play high flying. And I think that they're trying to use the weather and the elements a little bit to their advantage too. I wouldn't have put in this game plan if I was a coach in the locker room, because I feel like this is like playing into Baltimore's strengths, because this is the kind of game that they want to play. They don't want to have to throw the football. I do think that at this point, change up what's not been working. Definition of insanity is repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. So if this is what they have to do to win playoff games, if Josh Allen can't throw for 5 touchdowns in one of those games, I know he's not going to have an issue with it as long as they win. That's the statistic they care about the most right now is wins. They don't care about touchdown passes. They don't care about yards. Just make a tackle,
get the dub,
run the football, and end every series with a kick, and we'll be all right.
Yeah. And their kicker made a couple huge, that huge one, like I said, from 51. That was
down.
That was a big one there. Another injury down here.
Yep, Rashad Bateman's out.
Bateman's out now too. Everybody, the one thing too I've noticed is we're in the postseason, the injuries just go up so much more on these hits. Like the intent, you can just feel it. The intensity is way up in all the games this weekend. I mean, yeah, like even Barkley gets like hit today on the hand. He plays through it, of course, but like there's some big boy hits here in the playoffs. When you can start to see, like I'm watching my crappy Raiders the whole season, and we watch this. It's like there's just a different level of like when you get to the top 4 or you get to the top 8. It's a different level of intensity, a different level of hitting. The injuries just seem to go up. I mean, there was a guy on the Bills that got his hip. It looked like he maybe got it dislocated earlier. Was it Bird that maybe got injured in that game? Earlier in the game on the hit there. And what I noticed a lot too is a lot of friendly fire in these playoff games. A ton of friendly fire. They're knocking each other out. It feels like.
That's why girls don't play a game.
That's why they don't play.
The cold adds in a lot of factors. Like the best teams in the NFL. Like obviously the Super Bowl is played in a warm weather spot. This doesn't come into a factor. But the best teams in the NFL, a lot of the Super Bowl winners can withstand the cold and like withstand everything. I feel bad for talking about this way, but like my ankle is a little tweaked up right now because of how cold it is outside here in Denver with negative 10 degrees here in Denver. Like I haven't played like a heavy sport in a while. I have had ankle problems in the world, but when it gets cold, things just tighten up and they get hurt a little bit more. Like that's just naturally what happens. And like when you have these bodies that have been taking damage for 3-4 months now, like it's just going to happen. Naturally, it's going to happen.
Got a big play right to the 47 as we hit the 2-minute warning here. Buffalo, they
cannot lose contain. Fuck.
You gotta hang on, boys. They got it with it. We'll get back to that game here to hit the 2-minute warning here. Obviously, we'll get to that. What do you guys make of the Chiefs holding on, get to their 7th straight AFC Championship game yesterday versus the Texans? Mahomes makes that incredible throw, obviously falling down, kind of a little Burrow-esque there.
It was the Burrow play. That was he threw a Burrow touchdown. Nice. Awesome.
It basically was the same play. Like you said, you have him flopping. A lot of people annoyed, obviously, with the Chiefs winning. A lot of the penalties there. A lot of people had a lot of frustration with him sliding, kind of just then,
The drop to his butt.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I said it yesterday. I don't know if it was talking to my dad or maybe it was to somebody on Twitter, but you should not be able to cheat an NFL call the way that you can cheat a strike zone.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he does. He cheats the play where he fakes like he's going to slide and then goes, or he drops his butt down so that he knows he's going to draw a personal foul. What is the defender supposed to do? He's aiming for the ribs. He is aiming for Patrick Mahomes' ribs. Are you throwing the flag because he's hitting 15? That's what it seems like. Now, and he hit his own player way harder than he actually hit Mahomes. But again, I mean, if you're Houston,
you can see him. He hits him right in the head. His own guy.
If I'm Houston, if I'm D'Amico Ryans, I am still going to talk to my team before I let them go off for the offseason. Like, we could have been more disciplined. We didn't have to commit as many penalties as we did. If we know that this is how they're going to call the game, maybe we back off a little bit and we play smart. And also maybe we don't have our kicker cheese an extra point and then just not be able to do anything for the rest of the game because that was terrible.
The refs, very clearly, the refs. The Texans fans can complain about the refs all they want. We can complain about the refs all they want. Texans lost their game themselves. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Like when you go into Kansas City, it's the same thing when Tom Brady during his Patriots. You go into Foxborough, go into Kansas City, and Brady and Mahomes' prime. You can't have extra or special teams mistakes. A. B. You can't take dumb penalties. And C. You have to play a perfect game where your offense is gelling on all cylinders and not turning the ball over. They didn't do any of that. They didn't do not a single one of those things, and they were still in the game. Right? Yeah. If they do that, like take the penalties out of there. Obviously, those dumb things where he slid out of bounds, hip tackle, all that other thing. Take the extra points that the kicker missed. Take the field goals that they made. Take the bad turnovers. Texas win this football game. Plain and simple. It's like Will Anderson say, "Well, when you're playing the refs and the Chiefs, this and the other thing." That's a loser mentality. I'll say it's a loser mentality. That's why the Texans are where they are, where the Chiefs are where they are. I understand that the calls went the wrong way. As a Broncos fan, it sucks seeing the Chiefs win this way. But at the same time, like, you didn't play good enough to win. You didn't play good enough. Like, refs or not, you didn't play good enough to go in to Kansas City and win that football game. Like plain and simple. You didn't, like, even if you would have somehow squeaked out a win at the end of that game, you didn't deserve to win that game. And it wasn't because of the refs. It was because of your own mental mistakes.
And once you say that, it's like when you play against teams that are not just championship team, but elite championship teams in any sport, it always feels like the calls are go against you, right? Like it kind of like the Patriots. I always, felt that way with the Pats. NBA wise, I always felt that way. I know people felt that way about the Warriors for a while. I always felt that way about the Spurs. There was like always that thing like that would have, you just got to get this like feeling like, oh, they're always going to get this break. And like you said, Nico, I think that is part of it. You have to overcome that mentality. And I did find that interesting that Will Anderson did say the refs too. I mean, everybody's thinking it, but it is funny to have your star defensive end stay at the same time, especially when you lose by more than a touchdown.
It's why the Texans have never made the Super Bowl.
Never.
The Houstons have always had. Like, they've never been there. Like, there's like, unfortunately, like that's something they have to buck if they want to get there. But like having that mentality going into that game, it's just not a recipe for success.
24-yard touchdown to Likely here. Now 27-25. Was that prevent a win, or does that give up a quick enough touchdown that we get the ball back?
No, I don't want to lose contain on Lamar Jackson again. So I gave him eight seconds to run around.
Like I said, this is why you take the field goal right here. They get the 2-point conversion. It's cool. You have a minute 30. You're telling me Josh Allen can't get to the opposing 40-yard line in a minute 30? You're lying to yourself. Plain and simple. This is why you take the field goal.
Stop the 2-point. Because then they got to rely on an offside, on an onside. Oh boy!
There we go with the two. They got the 2 point. I mean, and that's the thing with like man, what a crazy finish here. 27-25. And this is what we want on a live show here. Getting down to the
Rolls
wire.
To the right.
What do you got, Jimmy?
Oh, Andrews dropped it.
No, Andrews, the captain. No, El Capitan. He had a.
Come on, fellas. What happened? I wash you. I clean you. I put gloves on you when you're cold. It's
Oh,
right in the
my.
breadbasket.
I
Right
hate,
there.
I hate to be the contrarian here, but like the weather plays an effect of that catch, but also the onside kick in the snow with the cold weather with your hands. It's not a guarantee. Is all I'll say. Is like it's not a guarantee at all that this game is over. Like obviously everything comes down to the onside kick. Like it comes down to this last play, but like it's not like we've seen how many drops, we've seen how many fumbles, we've seen how many unsure ball handling in the snow. Like it plays in a factor, especially this onside kick. So like I said, it's not a guarantee Buffalo's going to get this or Buffalo hold on the ball.
I was trying to think what's the last. I'm sure there's been one before this, but I always think about the Seattle Packers one, where Seattle goes for the onside kick in the championship game, and the Packers, I think it's like their tight end goes up for the ball and it bobbles it, and Seattle gets it, and they obviously go on to make the Super Bowl here. Don't let Lamar roll out. That's tougher said than done, but right here, a great drive though by Baltimore to get to that spot. I'll get the drop up here in a minute as well. So now it all comes down to the onside kick. If they get that, it's over. But now, Jimmy, at the same time, it's come down to 2-point conversions, and they haven't been able to get them. Whatever the reason, drop. They had, and the one before, I forget the linebacker that knocked him down. He's had a great game earlier. You mentioned his name earlier in the game, number 56. Yeah. They had him wide open on that play too, and he ended up knocking it down too. So kind of crazy finish here. Kind of what we thought from a game like this, right? I mean, it's kind of what we thought when these two teams meet. Like these are two of the best teams in the NFL. So that's what we get with it. Are we at the onside kick here yet? Where are we at?
Buffalo recovered it.
Buffalo recovered it. So we got. It looks like we got game here. Baltimore's only got one time out, so they won't be able to finish the job with it. Andrews, kind of a weird season for him. Weird season, kind of. That's going to be what he's remembered for here, though, right?
He was not the best tight end on his team this year. I think Likely had the better season. It is interesting too. Like that's Baker Mayfield's best friend, and Baker Mayfield kind of also had a bad ball handling situation to end his team's season. That's a rough way to go out. Like I would be interested to see how he responds, and as somebody who's going to have to.
They have to run a few seconds off the clock too.
They just got a first down.
Yeah, so there it is.
Oh yeah, I get you're saying, Nico, with that. It's it's kind of falling backwards, but obviously he's going to say
it's such a tough play.
He's going to say he's going to need to make that catch.
Yeah, he will absolutely.
Oh, I've definitely I've been in that situation where you're rolling and nobody's covering you because nobody thought they were going to throw to the fat kid, and I'm like, oh shit, don't drop this, don't drop this, don't drop this, don't drop this.
I mean, he put it right there. Maybe a little low, but that's a catchable ball right there rolling out. That's and it just falls backwards into the end zone.
He read that play right too because they ran with Likely. Andrews was left all alone.
Man, so now that they get the onside kick, I'll get that up here too in a second. What do you guys make of? We already kind of said we kind of talked a little bit about it. We do get the KC Buffalo matchup. Part 2, right?
I'll say it. This is the best shot we have to beat this team. I don't think the Eagles can beat Kansas City. There's a rookie quarterback. A rookie quarterback. We've talked about this. Rookie quarterback's never won the Super Bowl. Like that's never happened in the history of the game. So Commanders, you can throw that out the window. It's like I'm sorry, but this is our last hope. It's the old Star Wars hope. Last Jedi or
help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope.
Oh yeah,
last great hope.
Yeah, and he's slippery ball, man. You got to make that catch, Mr. Andrews. He's going to hear it from Ravens Nation there for a while on this one.
That could be his last play because I would not be surprised if they try to move Likely into the starting role as the number one guy. I don't know what his contract situation looks like, but I would be very surprised if he Likely wasn't the number one tight end going forward for this team. I think it might be
hold the grudge, right?
They will hold the grudge for it. Yeah, we appreciate everything you've done for us, but you remember that last play you made? Thanks, but no thanks on it. Here's that onside that kind of put the game over. They go for the little chip
on
there.
a slick field.
The slick field or not, putting green or not, Jim Nantz delivers. We get it done on it there, and Buffalo does move on officially here in the game. So we do have KC versus Buffalo, 1 versus 2 seed in that matchup. I don't know. That's an epic game. It's kind of the one we've been waiting for, I feel like, all season. I picked Buffalo to make the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. Doesn't mean I necessarily feel great about the game going into it with KC's magic, but I do. This is going to be a great game. I think it's a rematch well-deserved from a few years ago where Buffalo had it with 14 seconds or whatever weird time was left on that clock when they had like 90 yards they have to go for, or 50 yards for a field goal or something like that. So,
all right, here we go, Trav. Here we go.
Here we go with it. We'll see if Caitlin Clark shows up for the game again for the Kelsey section.
With or without her boyfriend.
With or without. You don't know what's going to happen there with it.
That TikTok ban probably left a couple people in the dark. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go enjoy TikTok again. And Caitlin Clark got catfish, kind of like Manti Te'o. Oh, at least that's the video I saw. Who knows if it's true?
Who knows anymore if it's true? So yeah, crazy ending. We got it. We were kind of here with you the whole time on the show with that. Buffalo literally hangs on, as you would say here. That is a definition of hanging on.
Sometimes that's got to be.
That's how it happens. Whatever. Sometimes you got to be it's better to be lucky than good. Sometimes I know that. That's the key. All right, we kind of talked about the Chiefs. You guys want to hit anything with the Chiefs, or do you want to move to the NFC here?
I'd rather talk about the NFC.
So what do you want to go? Let's go Lions Commanders. That game was kind of nuts yesterday a little bit at the same time. Like, all right, hike, touchdown for a little bit, and then dead side. The Lions, again, talk about friendly fire. I mean, they just did they have anybody starting on their defense anymore? I mean, they just were like knocking people themselves out left and right. What'd you guys take? What's your biggest takeaway from that game? Obviously, Daniels from national media standpoint was the biggest one, but what did you guys make of that one, Jimmy?
All right, this is just a really good, really interesting. Like normally the turnarounds aren't this thorough, this quick. The roster is totally different. They have the ability to play with a lot of these teams. They were a 12-win wild card team with a rookie quarterback who, it goes back to the ownership. Nico gave Dan Snyder the bench warmer of the week last week on our show because of all the success that they're having in the first season without him. It is incredible to see the turnaround. Like as somebody who was born in the late 90s, I've never seen Washington be a consistently good team that wins in tough situations. This is 100% new to me. Very similar to what I like watching the Bengals in 2021. Like, I don't know what to do here. I don't know what's going to happen when this team is playing this well. I mean, you scored 45 points in a playoff game against the number one seed, the number one team in the NFL. Second best record, excuse me. Second best record in the NFL, best team on your side of the conference, and you put 45 on their ass.
Yeah. And Daniels made some incredible throws. This one is the catch too on that one was kind of crazy with the eye. It looked like it was covering his helmet there at the same time. Daniels looked the one thing with Daniels that was kind of the biggest thing with me is you knew they were going for it on fourth down, but man, what a success rate they have going for it. 2 on fourth. As one thing to go for it. That's another thing to consistently get them on fourth downs. And if you're a Lions fan at that point, you're like, just kick the field goal, please. Just kick the, you don't even want them to go for it because you know they're going to get it over and over again. The tackling was so poor for Detroit yesterday. And I know a lot of people thought the gimmick play was the reason they lost, but I mean, the defense, you can't give up 45 points. And what'd you say, Jimmy? 5 turnovers. Yeah, you're not going to get the job done against a team like that. When you're turning the ball over 5 times, and Goff took a legit hit there on that one. That was a legit hit right there.
That was the best block I've seen on a quarterback since Burrow got buried in that bowl game against UCF.
He got cracked.
No, it's similar to when Nico and I talk about the NHL playoffs. If you're a team that comes back from 5-goal deficits all the time in the regular season, I know for a fact you're not going to do very well in the playoffs. Like that can't be your strategy. And I know that they won a game where Goff had 5 turnovers earlier on this season. You're not doing that in the playoffs. And you're not doing that against a very special player over on the other side. You should know better. You got to know better. And what are you throwing at on that play that you got your ass kicked? Where are you throwing? That ball was 11 feet in the air.
Jane, look, I can't continue talking about this game without giving Jane Daniels his praise. Like he was the best quarterback in this draft class for a reason. And frankly, like there's a reason why people were like Dan Orlovsky's of the world were saying that he should go number 1 instead of Caleb Williams because frankly he has the better accuracy, frankly he has the better, stronger arm, and obviously he has the athletic ability, same if not similar to Caleb Williams. And this may be another close your ears, Bears fans, where it's Trubisky over Mahomes, and there could be Williams over Jane Daniels. This is your worst nightmare all over again. Like Jane Daniels is that and the other is that all that and the other thing. Like I think back to like his college days. Like let's not forget. Do you remember the old videos of him at Arizona State and the people ransacking his locker when he announced he got transferred to LSU. This is the same kid that got pushed out of the door at ASU. He goes to LSU, doesn't win any massive games, gets a Heisman Trophy when under in a season, frankly, where his team wasn't very good, but he was the best player in college football. And then he comes to the NFL and like Dan Quinn is done a fantastic job. There's a reason why he's a Super Bowl caliber head coach. Like you think Cowboys fans aren't kicking themselves? Like he's the head coach there in Dallas right now, Sam McCarthy. Look at Dallas's defense. It looks like since Dan Quinn left, like he has done a perfect job with his defense. And you look at the weapons Jay Daniels has, like whether it be the running game of Brian Robinson or the passing game of McLaurin and Diami, who had an excellent game the other night as well. Like this Commanders team is built for the playoffs. It is. It's built for the playoffs. Like when you have a quarterback that's as hot as he is, that doesn't make mistakes, and like I said, I've been very, very, very impressed with Jay Daniels so much, and he is playing such a damn good football that like it's crazy. This team was a 4-win team last year. This team was 4-win. They're 1 win away from Super Bowl. They're 1 win away from playing the biggest game of the year. They're a 4-win team, number 2 draft pick in the NFL draft. And here they are 1 win away from the Super Bowl where they face their division rivals. Like that's crazy. That is an insane turnaround for a rookie quarterback for anyone. It's one of the most insane turnarounds we've ever seen. So it's all kudos to Dan Quinn and what Jane Daniels, frankly, this new ownership group is doing as well.
What's the OC there too again? The guy that used to coach Arizona.
Kingsbury. Kingsbury. Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury.
He's done a good job with Daniels as well on the offensive side of the ball. There
Shout out
too.
my boy Eckler too, Austin Eckler, Western Colorado alumni, Division II legend. But I also said last night watching that game, there's a reason why Eckler was a Division II phenom and Jahmyr Gibbs was a Division I phenom, because Jahmyr Gibbs is a lot of fun to watch, whether the Lions are winning or losing. I love it when he gets the football, and I love the way that line plays. Them and the Eagles just have such beautiful offensive lines. And I mean, Washington had a couple last night too. There's a couple plays like on a trap, a tackle came around and just bullied somebody. And I was like, that's what playoff football is all about. That's how you know that's how you separate the contenders from the pretenders, is who's playing physical at this time of the year.
Yeah, and that was, the one thing about Washington is I kind of was a little worried about after that face mask call that wasn't a face mask call, and then the Lions ended up getting a touchdown. In my head, I was like, sometimes these can turn games a little bit. Lions go down and score, but they showed kind of what the Texans were not able to do, was show a little mental toughness and keep playing good football down the stretch. And they didn't make excuses. They just kept playing. Obviously, some people say, well, Goff should have got a penalty, whatever. But you get my point, is like they didn't
do your job.
They didn't like back down after. They didn't like complain. They just kind of kept playing. And they were unstoppable. It'll be interesting what they can do next week. We'll see what the weather is like in Philadelphia next week against it. And the one thing, too, is Detroit hadn't seen Daniels before. They hadn't played him. Obviously, Philadelphia, this will be the third time they have seen him. And it will be the third time.
Last time.
They did. And it'll be interesting what we get with that matchup, too. Before we get to the look ahead of that, what did you guys make of the Eagles-Rams game today?
Before we do that, I'm not going to let Jared Goff skate by without giving him a load of crap.
Yeah, let's go.
3 interceptions, and he was the cause of that game. And this can be a segue into this next game. Be like, you look back on that trade back in 2020/2021, whatever it was, the Stafford Goff trade. If that trade happened today, where they traded back, who would say no? Because frankly, what I've seen from Stafford the last month of the season, he could win a Super Bowl with that Lions team right now. And you move Jared Goff back to LA with a younger team and frankly a younger group. Like Stafford wins that game, in my opinion. Like Stafford doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes. Jared Goff made a lot of mistakes, proved why he hasn't won the big game. Like I know Detroit fans could be like, I love Jared Goff. We love Jared Goff. Jared Goff hasn't gotten you to a Super Bowl. He has 2 straight years where he has came up short, and frankly, he's kind of the reason that you haven't made it that far.
Well, I'm kind of glad you actually brought that up, because I kind of feel that same way.
That and LeAngelo Ball, instead of Eminem singing before the game, really was the downfall of this team. I mean, like Jared Goff would 100% like. This team is one of the most talented teams in football. Like I know this defense of the Lions should have tackled better, should have held this team more in check. It is very hard for a defense to have to get up off the bench 5 times, by the way, 5 times while they're sitting there comfortably after a turnover and try to hold a team in check. Any defense in the league. Doesn't matter if it's the Oakland Raiders and that sorry ass defense, or Denver Broncos or Pittsburgh Steelers with the top defenses in the league. Like it doesn't matter who's out there. If you have 5 turnovers, your defense has to keep getting up off the bench and be like, fuck, we can go back out there because the offense turned over. It's going to degrade you. It is going to wear you down 100%. And like this is like what I've seen from Stafford is like he won a Super Bowl in LA for a reason. Like he was consistently well. Like he has done a lot with a very little in LA. Like look at the weapons that Detroit has compared to the Rams. Right, Puka Nacua was nobody before Matthew Stafford gave him this massive season and a half that he's had. Cooper Kupp, a receiver that no one even heard about until Matthew Stafford came into LA. Kyron Williams having a great year. You're telling me Matthew Stafford can't go in Detroit with Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta, and win a Super Bowl? That's like 100%. If I'm a Rams fan, I pick up the phone if I'm Dan Campbell and ask. Just ask. I don't know if it'll come true because the Rams are a playoff team, but I'd ask. Because
you owe me one.
Frankly, the only team that should say no in this situation would probably be the Rams. And the Rams also in the back of their head be like, we're trying to get younger. And Stafford is in his late 30s as opposed to Goff in his late 20s, maybe early 30s. I don't know his exact age. But like it could be very beneficial for both to just swap right back. I'm just saying.
It was interesting you brought that up with Goff. I did kind of skip by that. Yeah.
Let's go, Detroit!
The LiAngelo ball. That was so funny that he got on there with it. Redskins.
Somebody's
Bills,
been on way too much TikTok in Detroit's organization.
I do wish obviously, whatever you want to say, I do miss the old helmets. That is what it is. I've said that many times, but it is, the Commanders. I think Bills. That would be an interesting. What was that? That was Super Bowl 91, I think, right? That was the last one that they made it. The Washington didn't make it there. It was 91.
Yeah, because Buffalo beat Denver in the AFC Championship, and I heard them talk about it. That was the last time that Buffalo played Denver in the playoffs, and that was the season where the R words, as they were called at that time, like we're just that dominant offensively that, frankly, if it was Buffalo or Broncos during that season, they would have got ransacked. So that was the last time that Super Bowl happened.
The one thing
that was Mark Rippon, wasn't it?
Yeah. Rippon's a star. The one thing I remember, the one thing I did take away from what Brady said last night is what I've kind of always thought about is sometimes it's easy to say in any sport, but we're gonna build off of this season to next season. But he made a point. He's like, when the season ends, it's like you're just starting all over again. There's no like build up off of it. I know the Lions maybe feel differently because they had that kind of finish against the Packers, and then they made it to the NFC Championship game last year. And then so it does feel like that. But then you reach a point like you do today, and you, like you said, Nico, if you're a Lions fan or you're a Lions organization, you do have to kind of question Goff. And I mean, he put up 3 points in the Super Bowl against the Patriots when he was there at the Rams. He's never really had a clutch gene.
I look at that second half too. Last year's NFC Championship, the Lions had a 21-0 lead over the 49ers.
They had a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter.
Lead at minimum, and like you're telling me, Jared Goff couldn't have figured a couple first downs to win that game to get the Lions to the Super Bowl, where they could have been there. Like I'm not blaming it all on Jared Goff because I think he is better than most of the quarterbacks in the league still. But frankly, what I've seen, this is what I cannot stress this enough. What I've seen from Stafford the last couple of years, frankly, since he came to LA, he is a clutch gene when it comes to December and January football that he didn't have any experience with in Detroit during those bad years. And what I've seen from Jared Goff is just like he's a good game manager, but when teams try to make him do too much, he can't do it. He just can't do it.
Well, let me ask you this: is he the 8th best quarterback out of the 8 teams that were in the divisional round? You have Stroud. You have
Stroud. He and Stroud bring up the rear for sure.
I would put Stroud probably ahead of him.
Ahead of a guy that's made it to a Super Bowl?
Hurts.
Again, 3 points. Did he really show up in the Super Bowl? Didn't score a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Made it further than CJ Stroud's ever even thought about talking
CJ
about
Stroud's
it
been
on
in
podcast.
playoffs 2 straight years as a rookie and sophomore
And
year.
gotten his ass fed in the divisional round twice.
Either way, still the same amount of success. We're tomato. Both dudes haven't done anything.
Tomato.
So it's about the same thing.
Goff is better than CJ Stroud. That's not tomato.
Oh, so
Both haven't
he's.
done anything.
I guess my
win the division and lose in the playoffs. Neither have had playoff success on their backs. So
should they have kept Teddy Bridgewater in yesterday? No, should they have kept Teddy?
Should have gone to Hendon Hooker. They should have gone to Hendon Hooker in the third quarter.
No, I'm not going that far.
Goff, you're definitely concussed. I don't
that far.
want Teddy Bridgewater because he's still grading science papers on the side.
No doubt.
He had no idea he was going to be able to play today.
He's the opposite. He's not AJ Brown. He's reading the book. He's grading papers on the side.
and you've graded papers, Darren. You know, no, that's not right. No, we never even talked about that.
I'm
How
in the
did you get
here. Hold on, let me finish this.
Give me a second. I got to get through period 2, and then I'll get to the field. Okay.
This guy keeps putting I in front of E or I before. Yeah, whatever. He's going through all that. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, Goff is. He's got a lot to prove next year. I think the Lions fan base will be. I think they'll be on him a little bit more in a sense. You know what I mean? Like I think they'll be a little bit tougher on him for some bad games. That's what I would expect.
I think this is an eye opener. It's like next year is the make or break it year for him because like when you get further into this championship window, as we call it, it's like you're gonna lose players. That's just what happens. It's like when you're a good football team and you don't capitalize on these first couple of years of being a good football team and winning a Super Bowl, going to a Super Bowl, you're gonna lose players, and you're gonna have to rely on drafting well and signing free agents for cheap to get back to where you are. And like I said, the more and more years that's come along, more and more questions have to come up. Be like, what if they did have an elite quarterback? Right? Yeah. What if they did have an elite quarterback? Could they have won 2-3 Super Bowls? Could they have done this other thing because of how talented this offense, how good of a Coach Campbell is, how good of this defense has been the last couple of years? Could they have gone on a couple of wins if they had an elite quarterback? So that's like I said, I think Jared Goff is still a very, very good quarterback. I still think he's a top 5 level quarterback in the NFC, frankly, and doing a lot of great things in Detroit. But like I said, there's going to be a lot more questions if this happens again next year for three years in a row.
The pressure definitely, kind of turns up a little bit next year for Detroit. Well, obviously you talked about the Stafford angle with the Rams. I thought he played well in a game like this. He took a shot earlier in the game with his ribs. But Jimmy, you brought it up and was the biggest point. I wish I had I'm going to try to get the camera angle from behind on some of these runs. I mean, these holes were just massive that Barkley had to run through. And here's one of them earlier in the game that he gets to go to, or you think he takes it to the house here, and then he takes one to the house later.
So
I mean, yeah, not even touched basically. I will say this about that Rams. Was it Verse? That guy.
That guy right there, the 260-pounder that was chasing Saquon Barkley down from the backside.
I think the Rams got themselves a great player. That's just better than that. They got themselves.
That's him. That's him right there.
He's just like striding. He's just striding with Barkley.
Best defensive player from this last year's draft. And like I want to give Byron Young on the other side too some love. Like number 0 had a very, very solid season. He was their 4th or 5th round pick too. Like 1 year removed from Aaron Donald, then the Rams figured out a way to have themselves a couple good edge rushers for the future. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean he was dynamite today against. I mean, what was Hurts sacked 6 times or something? He was all. And he took some shots. He took some shots today. That one, he got really lucky. His leg did not get stuck in the mud there, as they say, right? Like he got kind of lucky. That knee and the foot gave up a little bit.
The rest of the game, he wasn't able to stretch the field. And now we saw this. I think that what we're seeing is actually going to hurt Kellen Moore's coaching candidacy because when his quarterback can't run and press the edge, we saw the same thing happen when Kenny Pickett had to play for the Eagles too. The defense has just crashed that far side defensive end. So when he couldn't pull the ball to run on the read option anymore, you get that defensive end crashing down so hard. I mean, it didn't hurt you that time, but you can get caught from the backside a lot easier. That offense is not as dynamic if he can't run the football.
Do you think it's as an offensive lineman? Do you and Nico, you played fullback, I believe when you guys played. Do you think and you guys live in Denver, Colorado? Is it an advantage to the run game offensively when it snows, or is it more? How do you feel that way? Is it still just come down to talent at the end of the day, or is there an advantage one way or the other when you have a little bit of a slippery surface there?
100% is an advantage to the running game. Like it is more likely for a running back to determine where they're going to go in terms of cutting wise than it is for a DB to stop on a dime and point a certain direction. Like once you hit that second level or that third level as running back, I look at the back of that Buffalo game during the regular season in the snow against San Francisco where McCaffrey couldn't get his legs going. We saw James Cook get these 80-yard touchdown runs. Like once he got to the second level, you're cutting as a linebacker, your cuts as a safety that you have to make these split seconds decisions of putting your foot in the ground. You have to make those decisions a lot sooner. And then if you guess wrong, they're gone. Plain and simple, they're gone. Like even if you scheme the offensive line a perfect way to make the perfect hole, there will still be one or two guys not accounted for, whether it be a safety or the corners or the outside linebacker on the other side in a running scheme. And if those guys have to make a split-second decision where they guess wrong or they can't plan correctly, running back's gone, just utterly gone. That you can't even touch it. And when you have as good of a running game as Barkley with this offensive line has, like it's an unstoppable force and stuff. It's an unstoppable force. Like it's. I want to compare this to the Ravens game because obviously the Ravens running game is very, very good as well, and they just played in the snow and lost. The way that the Eagles scheme their game up is like their offensive line is so it's not a guessing game. Jalen Hurts can run, don't get me wrong, but you know that Barkley's getting the ball. Like when you're in an option scheme where like, okay, Lamar could go this way, Derrick Henry could go this way. It's a little bit different scheming in the running game. But 26 is getting the ball, they're running downhill. It makes the life so much easier to offensive line. It makes life so much easier just going downhill, saying F you football as Notre Dame offensive line. And I know Jimmy loves to hear like F you football right down the middle of the line. And like the running game, just it's another thing like when you can literally like physically give a ball to somebody as opposed to catching the hands, right? Catching the hands. Like it is just so much easier to clamp two hands on the ball than be like catch it in when your hands are cold, ball is rock solid. It's just so much figuratively and physically easier.
Jimmy, what do you make of the Rams here? The season comes to an end. We talked about Stafford. I mean, it was kind of we saw that run Barkley had in the snow there, but then they go down and score. It felt like in 30 seconds. It was about a minute 30 to get there. And then they get the stop, and they had a legit chance thanks to a missed extra point there earlier in the game. I saw some meme where it was like if you guys have ever seen Major League where the thank you punches him right in the face. The guy right there, like Richard, it's like thank you for that one. Thank you, we won, but no, thank you there, Mr. Elliott, for giving us a little bit of a heart attack there. I mean, they got all the way down to what was it? Carter just had a big sack on third down there.
Jalen Carter is a stud.
Yeah, good job Raiders taking Wilson on that one. And then they this is just a missed. I guess you would just say a missed throw, missed route here to Puka here at the end. But it did look like the Rams. I mean, to their credit, they stuck with it all the way here. I thought they maybe were going to, as you would say, steal one here at the end.
They need to shore up some things on their offensive line, but what I know about the Rams right now is their evaluation process for drafts is really good. Whether they have a first-round pick or a fifth-round pick, we saw what their first-round pick is underneath this whole regime, and that's Jared Verse, who we just spent a whole bunch of time talking about how good he is. So I think that they'll be fine, but you do have to solidify that offensive line because when you won your Super Bowl, you had Andrew Whitworth on the left side who did not give up any pressure. And the only time that you struggled today is when the Eagles were able to get some pressure on you. And you can't double team five defensive linemen. I know that it would be beautiful. As a former offensive lineman, there's some weeks where I wish we could have double teamed all 5 defensive linemen, but you can't do that. So you have to have people that can hold up. And Whitgrove, the right tackle on that far side, got beat up all day. And it wasn't even their studs. It was just 5th round, 6th round picks coming in. Who wants the turnstile?
Who wants that right there? And I found it funny. My favorite part of it kind of goes back to that Commanders thing too. As we kind of move on to the look ahead was I felt like everybody in national media had it probably written on X or whatever their thing was. And then as soon as the Commanders won, it was like the Cowboys are now the longest drought in the NFC without making it. It just felt like everybody said that out.
I'm pretty sure it's the NFL. Is it not the NFL? I thought it was everyone in the NFL.
I was thinking maybe Cleveland because of their whole thing.
Maybe Cleveland. I guess you're right.
Is it playoff drought or what drought are we talking now?
Did Cleveland
and a championship game? To a championship game.
Because I don't think Baker made it to the championship game. They lost in the
divisional.
Maybe it is Cleveland with the longest. Then I don't remember exactly.
Well, and I was thinking that when I was thinking through that it shows that the NFC has been a little bit more diverse, I guess. The AFC has been like, I mean, you got at least 6 teams
Patriots,
that have not been.
Chiefs,
Yeah,
Patriots, Chiefs, Ravens, Patriots,
exactly.
Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly. Because you have the Dolphins, you have the Jets, you have the Browns, you have the Texans. I feel like the Colts haven't been there in a while either, but I'm sure that I know Manning, they probably were there.
2012, didn't they make it?
Yeah,
with Andrew Luck.
They did make it, and then you obviously have the Raiders there. So you have a little bit more. I feel like the NFC's kind of been a little.
Everybody's already laughing at us. We ain't won a championship game since 1994.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody was looking forward to sending that one out. So I felt that pretty funny with it. What do you guys make of that championship game though next week? 12 o'clock my start, 1 o'clock your time out there, Mountain Time, 3 o'clock Eastern on Fox. Third time they match up. Can the Commanders pull the upset right now? Right now, the Eagles are a 5.5 point favorite. We'll see where the line ends there. But what do you guys make of that? Making that kind of early look ahead to that one?
I'm not even thinking about the game right now necessarily. I'm thinking about why is Kevin Burkhardt trying to slip Tom Brady up and get him to say something that he knows he can't. Because some of those questions he was asking on the broadcast last night, I was like, dude, shut up. You know he can't talk about that. He can't talk about the process of interviewing coaches.
I might have talked to Ben Johnson during our interviews this week.
I think I know who Ben Johnson. I think I have an idea of who Ben Johnson is. Aaron Glenn seems like a nice person, but I don't know much about his football style.
I'd be very surprised. I'd be very surprised if this continued. Like as much as everyone loves Brady on the broadcast, like I'd be very surprised if this continues for another 2-3 years while he's a part owner. Because I think he hates it too. Like I think he hates having that restriction on you, or like I might as well just try to be more involved in the Raiders, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Fox Sports is pretty honest most of the time, too. So I feel like that's nuts.
Go talk to Joy Taylor.
The peanut butter. Peanut butter. Yeah, that was my favorite thing with the whole thing from last week with it. If you had to choose the Eagles or Commanders, and obviously you guys have time, you'll make your picks on your show. So I'm not asking you to make a pick, but I'm just saying if you're leaning away right now, where do you guys kind of lean right now? Is it with the home team?
I lean Philly. I lean Philly. Like I may change it over time. The more I think about this Commanders team, but like it's just so glaring to me that rookie quarterback has never won the Super Bowl, and like I don't even think that rookie quarterback has ever started the Super Bowl. If I remember,
Marino, I believe, is the only one.
Marino might have been the only one. Like it is a once in a very, very long time, and especially like
1983. Is that what that was?
Yeah, like literally 40 years. Like it's been so damn long. Like. It's such a tall task. Like the emotions of winning 3 road playoff games as a rookie is so unbelievably tough. Like I hate comparing it to basketball terms, but like this is if he does this and goes on to win a Super Bowl as a rookie, like this is a Dirk Nowitzki championship run where like he beat Kobe, beat Kevin Durant, beat LeBron, beat everybody. He went through Tampa Bay, Detroit, Philly, and possibly even Kansas City or Buffalo in the Super Bowl. That is an all-time run. That is an all-timer run all on the road outside, obviously, the Super Bowl. Like it would be immaculate. Like he would go down in the history books. Like, and this is not taking away from Jay Nails at all. It's just how rare it is and how rare it's coming about that, like, unfortunately, like the law of averages, and I love playing the law of average game and love the statistics side of things, is like, the Eagles at home, with as strong as the running game is, with how strong their defense is right now, like it worries me. It worries me going on the road 3 weeks in a row and having to do it, especially when it's Lions, Eagles back to back. So, but if anyone were to do it, obviously I said the exact same thing last week when they're going to Detroit. Like there's zero denying that it's not possible because they're in the game. They're playing. They're practicing on Monday. Like they're in the game. Like it's not impossible.
I guess I think the weather is going to be a big thing too in this game. It'll be interesting what that weather is because obviously they played in a dome this week. They played in Tampa the week before that, so it'll be interesting what it is where they go with that. Where are you kind of leaning with it, Jimmy?
It's stupid, but actually, you guys will probably enjoy this. The gambler in me is helping me figure out how I think this game is going to go, and there is not a team this season that has lost to the Lions or played the Lions and followed that game up with a victory. So whether they won, lost, or anything against the Detroit Lions, the Lions beat the shit out of you, and they beat you up for the next week. So as it sits now, I already think that Philly's more healthy. I know that they have a few injuries, and they had a couple more today, but they're healthier. And Cosme yesterday going down, the lineman for Washington, it's incredible that they kept that game going the way that they did, because that was a huge, like, if nothing else, all of the other injuries around Washington, they had 5 consistent guys as their offensive line starters, and now you're going to have a new person that gets inserted in, and that's going to be it's a very big change for this big of a moment, and the link is going to be so nasty. I know that they know about it because it's a divisional game, but you have not experienced an AFC championship in Lincoln Financial Field. I feel like there's an extra breed of crazy. All those people that they take Always Sunny in Philadelphia as a documentary and not just a comedy series, all those people are going to be crawling out of the gutters, and it is going to be grimy in Philly this Sunday.
It's their 5th time hosting an NFC Championship game since 2003. That's quite a bit to be able to host.
Polls are still greased. They're always greased.
Yeah, they're always greased. They're greased right now. They're getting ready for the week right now. And like I said, I think the weather, it'll be interesting what the weather is. In that game, it is an earlier start time, I guess 3 o'clock Eastern. It's not the 6 o'clock, so they won't be completely liquored up, I guess, at that point. Yeah, they still got they'll
I'm still liquored up from last night. You're talking about Go Birds.
They'll be there with it.
I haven't stopped drinking since 1992.
I worry about the Commanders' defense. I mean, I like, as much as I like Bobby Wagner there in the middle, I worry about the depth as the game with the Eagles running game. I could, you know what I mean? That's what I worry about as we start to get to the second half. And maybe they're in it, and that's where I would be a little concerned. If I was a betting man, I would kind of right now I would lean towards the Eagles too. But would you take Daniels over Hurts? I think we probably would, right? So there is that, or no? Do we not take him over Hurts? Yeah. And so I think that's where we're leaning. But Daniels is definitely on fire right now, and he has a real calmness about him. He doesn't seem like he gets too high, too low. Yeah,
he's got that sociopath demeanor about him. Same thing that they were saying about Burrow and like very high functioning people. It's a good thing that he has this that he's really good at and he cares about, because if not, he'd be very good at disposing of human beings.
It's what Dan Quinn has coached, like Matt Ryan all those years in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Like he that's how he was. Like Russell Wilson.
Matty Ice, I forgot about that.
Russell Wilson early in his career too. Like they were very no nonsense guys that just came up, played football, didn't make mistakes. Like that's just what Dan Quinn teaches, and he's done a great job over years and years of doing that. And like I said, I think the quarterback is a testament of the head coach, and I think that they're tied to the hip in that so many ways, and that like Dan Quinn has really, really shown. Obviously, he's a defensive side of the ball guy, but like he's really shown that demeanor of being like, take care of business. Our defense will put you in a situation to succeed, and then succeed, and we'll win a football game. And he's done a great job of doing that.
We got LSU versus Alabama / Oklahoma, I guess, with Hurts, right? We got a little battle there with it playing out on Sunday. Should be a good game. Looking forward to that one. We kind of mentioned that one. You guys lean again. You'll make your picks here on Far Into the Bench. You guys going Wednesday this week? When are you guys going Far Into the Bench this week?
We'll figure that out as we go. I don't know what my schedule and Jimmy's schedule. It changes. We'll figure it out, and we'll let everyone know.
You'll do it at some point here before that.
Wednesday and Thursday is a good guess. Yeah, Friday sometimes.
Yeah. Leaning KC. Are we leaning they get back again? Is that where we're at with it? Or come on, Nico?
I may pick Kansas City to try to reverse jinx myself.
Reverse psychology.
That's the only shot that if I were to do that, that's the only way I would do that. Okay, that's the only way I would to try to reverse jinx myself. But obviously, I'll be rooting for
a three-peat for KC is getting more legit.
Like I said, we talked about this on our show. Like first time since Kobe and Shaq Lakers. Like it's been a very, very long time since we had a three-peat in any of the 4 major sports. Like it's been a very, very long time.
There is no other juggernaut team to knock out this three-peat. The last three-peat that was close, the Avalanche were a juggernaut and beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in the NHL. There is no team like that.
I don't trust Philly, and I don't trust Washington to beat Kansas City. No. Like I said, I cannot stress enough. I think it's Josh Allen. Our fate is in Buffalo. Josh Allen's hands.
Come on, Buffalo. We need you. Come on. Don't let America down.
Why are we relying on Mr. Steinfeld to take out the biggest detriment to society that we have? I've been talking to this guy. His name, he said to call him Lucy. He knows Patrick Mahomes, kind of on like a first name basis, and Travis Kelce and his girlfriend. But Lucy said if I sacrifice a goat and do a rain dance, then there is absolutely no way that Kansas City will win on Sunday. But unfortunately, I have ethics. I don't necessarily believe in all of that. So Lucifer is going to have to – he almost got me. He almost tricked me. But it's not worth giving up my soul just to not see that team win.
I'm trying to think back, like the teams. Obviously, we talked about the Lightning and Avs, but the last like teams that had the chance for the three-peat was the Patriots, and I'm trying to think back to those years. Like I think back of the Giants team that played the 18 or 17-0, 16-0 Patriots. Like it may take like Patrick Mahomes to become mortal. Like I hate saying that, but like it's seriously going to take that where he just plays such an off game that you're like, who is this out there? Like what in the world am I watching? Like it may take that. And Mahomes hasn't been great. Like I know we
it's a good year to get him though, right?
Yeah,
like I've
said a lot of bad things about Jared Goff, CJ Stroud. Patrick Mahomes may be the next guy based upon what he's done this year. Let me say it. What he's done this year, he has not been great this year. But in general, obviously, we know the success he's had every other year of his career and how good he is in the playoffs. Like if there's a year for him to look mortal and to beat him in the playoffs, like as opposed to the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I think this is as good of a chance as we got. I would put Buffalo's chances over beating the Chiefs higher than the Eagles' chances 2 years ago and higher than the 49ers' chance last year. Like, I don't know. I believe I have that much trust in Josh Allen and what McDermott's doing over there in Buffalo.
Can you just not let Kelsey just get open in the middle? My God, people, just do it.
But you got to worry about all those deadly receivers they have on the outside.
Yeah, and then the running game hasn't been great. This is the year KC's ready. This is the year to take him. This is the year to take him. I feel like.
Yeah, and they play low. I hope it is Philly. If they win this Sunday, I hope it is Philly, so that I can see all of the different videos that everybody makes of Rocky talking to Adrian and Rocky 4. You can't win. What are you going to go out there and do? You're just going to get beat up. But I'm a fighter. You can't change who we are, Adrian.
The Philly team this year, I think, is way better than the Philly team 2 years ago, too. So, like, I mean, with Barkley, and obviously the defensive line, and obviously, minus Jason Kelsey, the offensive line is still the best in the NFL, if not one of the best. Like, I think their defense is better than they were 2 years ago.
Brown and Smith.
Brown, like, the weapons are way better than they were last year. So, I do think they'd have a good shot. Like I said, I'm not discrediting Commanders. Like I said, remind everyone, one rookie quarterback has started in a Super Bowl, and it was 40 years ago, okay?
Yeah.
So
it was Dan Marino.
Exactly. So it's been a long time.
Dan Marino.
So that's why I can talk about the Eagles this way. But like, if there's one, like I said, I don't know. I just have more faith in Joshy Boy than I do as opposed to Jalen Hurts. I guess I don't know. I think America's Super Bowl would be Buffalo versus Philly, because I think both cities could tear each other to limbs, and I think that'd be very entertaining. I think the worst case scenario would be Kansas City versus Washington, because I think Kansas City could win a 30-3 game. Like I'm sorry, I really do. That's the worst case scenario. I think best case scenario is Buffalo versus Philly, if we don't want Kansas City to win it all, obviously. But like Kansas City versus Philadelphia would be, I think, a very good game too.
Well, we're down to the final four, gentlemen. This is one of the best. We might get the Rocky KC. We haven't ever had Philly versus Buffalo. We haven't, so we'd have some new matchups there, and we would get a repeat from a few years ago of the Eagles versus KC in it. All right, before we kind of get out of here, kind of we talked about, but you don't have to go with the obvious. You might have somebody you want to stick out. What's your winners and losers of the divisional round? I mean, for me, I'll go loser right away. Mr. Andrews, I'm sorry. I know it was recent, but he just a fumble and then dropping a 2-point conversion to tie the game. Ouch. I think that deserves probably a loser of the divisional round weekend. And then Nico said maybe put a little salt in the wound. Hey, sorry, bud, you're not on the team next year as well, so we have to let you go. You're gonna have to go play with the Raiders.
Do you know he's diabetic? Why are you saying salt in the wound?
Oh, I did not know. That's good. Sorry, buddy. You're gonna.
That's a straight to catch.
Why don't you go play with Vegas? You'll be much warmer out there. Why don't you go play with Mr. Connor out there?
Play in Vegas with Buck Ellers and still be the number 2 tight end.
Exactly. Let's just take him out there with it. He would be my loser of the week. what do you go with, Nico? Is it Big Goff? Is that the guy that gets it for you?
I'll give it to LiAngelo Ball. I don't think that man will ever be. I don't think that man will ever be invited to Detroit again. I don't understand why they brought him out. He's not from Detroit. He's from Chino Hills, California.
Yeah, that's right.
Melo and Lonzo both don't play in Detroit. Like, I don't know where they thought, like, all the artists that have come out of Detroit, like, I don't know where they thought this was a good idea, and just thought, let's roll him out instead of Eminem, Kid Rock, Machine Gun Kelly, go down, or not Machine
Insane Clown Posse.
Like, you go down a list of names from Detroit, not Machine Gun
Temptation.
Royce the 5'9".
Somebody other than LiAngelo Ball, you thought, like, oh,
you get a fucking Motown. You could go soulful, go Whitney Houston, you go Motown, anything. You literally have everything to your disposal. Anything to your disposal.
With any tie to the city other than LiAngelo Ball, who got gifted a Lions jersey because he wanted to perform. I don't know. That's my loser of the week.
Oh, that's a good one.
Do you think they asked him? Do you think there's a possibility that players asked?
The Detroit? Like, you want me to go to, like, I can go play for the Rams in LA because I live in LA. You want me to fly to Detroit, probably the first time I've ever been in this city, and play a song? I mean, the song is a big hit right now. So, like, obviously I probably would jump at it too for the money. But who on the PR team, the Detroit Lions, thought, Kid Rock, Eminem, Detroit music, LiAngelo Ball. There we go. That's what we're gonna go with. Let's hype the team up with we're swimming around the corner. Whoa, that's what we're gonna do.
Well, we only need LeVar Ball there. He's the best. He's the best. He's gonna be the best rapper.
I only know two guys better than me, and I'm both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's my favorite line that has ever been dropped in one of the Miz's segments. It's my favorite line.
Was he in the big baller shoes? What did we got there? Jimmy, what do you have for a loser of the round there?
I'm gonna go Baltimore. Baltimore is the loser because they're my division rival, and turnovers. Like, you had, if you don't turn that ball over, you win that game fairly comfortably. Kind of like how you did earlier on this season. I think that there's a really good chance, or maybe Josh Allen goes God mode. But since Josh Allen didn't have to go God mode today because he gave the ball back 3 times, we see the result.
Yeah. No, winner of the week for me, it's obvious. We just talked about him. He's, like I said, for some reason, running backs will never be allowed to win MVP again in the history of NFL football. But Barkley, he just continues to be dominant. The Giants that video of them in the offseason will live in infamy, as some great president once said the day. Should we sign him, or but I'm afraid he's going to go to a division rival. Just gets 2,000 yards. 78-yard run here, 62-yard run, or whatever it was.
Going to the championship game that you haven't gone to since 2011.
I mean, just rubbing it in.
On the flip side of that, there's another funny clip from that Hard Knocks training camp where the 14-year-old son of Jim Shane also said, you should trade up for Jaden Daniels. So that will be my winner of the week, is Jaden Daniels, because if the Giants, got rid of Daniel Jones, traded up for Jaden Daniels, and signed Saquon Barkley, are we talking about the Giants in the playoffs?
We're talking about the best team in the NFL. What are you talking about?
I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, so I love seeing those behind the scenes and seeing how teams make moves that they want to do and draft players a certain way. I love seeing all that stuff. And I just thought it was so funny that there's a the Jets are being run by a 14-year-old, and on the other side of the city, frankly, if the Giants listen to the 14-year-old, they could be in the playoffs right now. So it's very, very funny that way.
Neighbors probably would have had like 2,000 yards via Daniels this year instead of Daniel Jones.
But those two guys together, oh my gosh!
They wouldn't. Well, Neighbors wouldn't be there.
Well, it wouldn't have worked out like that. But
no.
Still.
Well, you never know. He could have gone Will in.
Sterling Shepard would have gone off. That's who I know.
Yeah, he would have gone there with it. So you got Daniels, good call. I took Barkley, the obvious one. Jimmy, who do you got?
I'll go Dan Quinn. This is proving that Dan Quinn, don't just remember the 28-3 meltdown. Remember the fact that, the guy's been around and is very successful. That's kind of the era that we live in, especially with social media. You want to relive everybody's worst moments. And that was a very tough game for him to coach. But I think that he's taken it. He's learned from it. And I would be much happier as the coach in Washington than the coach in Dallas right now. So I think that Dallas fans might be upset about it. I don't think Dan Quinn's sitting there crying at night.
I think Dallas fans are only happy if Deion's the head coach down there to make them get over this pain of Dan Quinn, because Dan Quinn literally was in their back pocket. Like that was a conversation last offseason. Remember, we were like, okay, Dan Quinn is in these interviews, is going to take these conversations. All the other thing, we were like, oh, should we keep McCarthy? He's got 1 year left. What do we do? And then the travesty of this year happens, and now you're seeing two divisional rivals. Like I could do losers Dallas Cowboys very easily. Like two division rivals in the NFC Championship that you haven't been to since 19 whatever. Like that's
94.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
Troy Aikman was the quarterback the last time they went to the championship game.
The Cowboys have been the least successful team. I'm not saying least successful. Commanders outside the last couple of years have been very, very bad. But 1A, 1B with the Commanders / Redskins of being the least successful team in this division since the millennium in 2000. Cowboys haven't been relevant. Giants have won a couple Super Bowls. Eagles have won a Super Bowl, been to a couple championship games. Commanders obviously been to a championship game since then. Like I think I can clearly say that the Cowboys have been the worst team in this division since Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin left.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that the Commanders get rid of their owner and they make it to this point, obviously, either. That's obviously not part of it.
There was a lot of bad karma to overcome when Dan Snyder is your owner.
Mark Davis, sell the team. Let's sell the team, please.
No, please keep it. You're doing
not a bad guy.
You're doing a great job, Mark Davis. Keep doing. You're doing a great job. You should go bring in Cliff Kingsbury. Go hire Steve Sarkisian. You're doing a great job, Mark Davis. Or go ask John Gruden. Go call Johnny G up. I know he's your best friend still. Go call Johnny G up and bring him back.
By the way, great job. Bringing up Gruden, that was one of the best clips that I saw from anything else that was going on today. Not to put more publicity on another content creator that doesn't need it, but when Gruden was sitting there with the Barstool guys, they go, "Have you ever been a coach in a game that felt like it was a little bit rigged?" He goes, "No, I thought the tuck rule was fucking legit."
Exactly.
And he said that it just sits underneath the surface of his brain every day. It's like the tuck rule.
Oh my god, I hated football for a week. I remember that when that happened. I just hated football for about the rest of the year. For that point, I was like, it just made me disgusted. I felt like I was totally robbed after that. So I can't imagine if you're actually the person putting your blood, sweat, and tears into it. I didn't feel sitting through all that snow too at the same time.
I thought that was totally fucking legit. Of course.
Actually, Gruden's got to come back a little bit. Is that nicey? Is that nice? I like nice. So he's got that going for him as well. So next week, boys, we got Commanders, Eagles. We got the big game, obviously, in the AFC as well, with the Bills and Chiefs, the big dogs going at it in the AFC, and we'll be here with you to break it down. Nico, if you can join again, maybe before we get out, we got about 2 episodes left. See if you can jump on one of these. I know it's tough for you sometimes on Sundays, but if you ever get a chance to jump on,
yeah, I'll work on and try to either. Like I said, I won't be around for the Super Bowl because I'll be in DC and I'm going to the Pro Bowl. Funny enough, my cousins will be in the Pro Bowl, so I'll be in Orlando. So that'll be tough, but I'll see if I can hop on next week because I love joining and talking all ball, even when my team is out. Longer than I thought, but out, and I know all of our teams are out. So it's talking about different teams playing and how big the NFL has gotten, and frankly how good games today were, and how good games yesterday's games were. Like it's such a hot product, and it's been a lot of fun to watch.
And I expect to be some good games next Sunday as well. I expect to deliver as well next week. Gentlemen, appreciate you guys. Have a good show this week. Whenever you guys decide to record there on the far end of the bench. I'll be listening to the picks, getting ready for our show here on Sunday. So I'll be tuning in, checking you guys out well. So make sure you guys check out the far end of the bench over there with Jimmy and Nico. Every week, Nico's keep working on the maybe left-handed layup next time at the Denver game.
I can make a left-handed layup.
Let's go.
I'll tell you right now, I have no problem making a left-handed layup. I have a lot more confidence already.
Step back three, good on the ground.
He swings at that left-handed. If you've seen those videos,
I'm ambidextrous, so I do hit a golf club left-handed, swing a bat left-handed.
Don't watch the golf video. Don't go back and watch the golf video, but go back and watch the batting cage video because I look better in that one. If you watch the golf video, just the salmon sweater that I have on right now, I had on some very hot pink shorts. Only to distract from the fact that I had to pick the ball up and throw it because Nico's like, "God, come on.
we don't want to
keep moving." People
face of play here. Face of play.
This is supposed to be 11. This is supposed to be an 8-minute hole. We're at 18.
Let's go ahead and just talk it down for a 15 and let's move on to the next hole. Hopefully the beer cart comes around in a second so that we can keep this thing moving.
Need a little liquid courage there, say to get the shot. You got to loosen up there a little bit sometimes on the golf course. Gentlemen, appreciate we had 210 people in tonight here on the stream. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully we'll see maybe Nico next week. Terrell, Congratulations. Good luck next week.
He needs something. His Lakers suck again. He needs
Oh,
something.
he
So
needs
give
a little
him-
something up
His
there.
Lakers suck. Like I know
Yeah.
his college Georgetown Hoyas stink too. Like
Yeah.
he needs
He's
something.
got a
man.
national championship game to watch tomorrow. He's a Notre Dame fan too.
What do you guys got in that one, real quick? Ohio State or Notre Dame?
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
It's Ohio State. We're all excited about that. It sounds like. And this might.
Give
How
me-
can they
give
be
me-
the 8th seed? How can they be the 8th seed? I just
Give-
don't. That blows my mind.
Give me one of those Ohio State players in orange and blue next year. I don't care if it's Judkins, Ibuka, Henderson. Give me one of those three in orange and blue next year. That's all I care about.
What are they? 10-point favorites. I'm like, how do you rank Notre Dame 7 and the Ohio State's a 10? It doesn't. It just blows my mind how they would work this out with it. But we're NFL here for Jimmy Pilato and Nico. I'm Darren. We'll see you guys next week, boys. Peace.